Hi, it's Mike again. Welcome to my shop. Today I have a very interesting project for you. I'm going to show you how to build a Coleman lantern check valve removal tool. Now, inside these Coleman lanterns, in this little pump tube, lies this brass check valve. And this check valve has a little ball in it, and over time what happens is crud builds up and it doesn't hold the pressure anymore. Some people can try to remove these with a screwdriver, which I don't recommend. There is a special tool. Now, I didn't create the tool, I didn't develop it, I just figured out how to make it on my own. And I'm going to show you how I make my tool to remove these check valve. Now I'm going to show you two methods, so please keep watching. The one method is going to be on my lathe, which will create a real professional looking tool. And the other method will be just by using normal hand tools like a hacksaw and a file and some other equipment here. And I'll show you how I put that all together. I'll go through the whole process. I'll show you the tools you'll need and the material required to make this check valve removal tool. So I have a check valve and a stem already out of the lantern. And the issue here is with these Coleman check valve is this thread pitch. This is actually a 1/4 by 32 thread pitch, and it's kind of rare and hard to find something. You just can't go to Home Depot to find that die to make that thread. So I had to go to an actual machine shop that supplies industrial tools and dies and taps to machinists, and I had to specially order this die. And this die is, again, a 1/4 by 32, and it was $75 to order this. Now, you might find some online sources to find it, but this is the heart of making this tool, is getting this die. So the material we're going to use is a 1/4 inch steel rod. So this is 1/4 inch outside diameter, round cold rolled steel rod. So that would be the actual rod that will screw into the check valve. And then the other part of the barrel is called a DOM, drawn over mandrel. And this is a 1/2 inch outside diameter with a 1/4 inch inside diameter. And we're going to cut this to length and we're going to machine it up. So I'll show you that process on the lathe. So these are the tools you're going to need to build a check valve removal tool by using a lathe. You'll need some type of a precision measuring device. Now I have a nice Starrett one there, but you can get by with El Cheapo Harbor Freight one here, a digital one that works just as fine. We have a 1/2 inch mill end, so you'll need a mill end, 1/4 by 20 die, and then also you need the 1/4 by 32 die for the valve stem, a millbaster file, a round file, preferably less than a 1/4 inch in diameter, a 7/16 wrench, and we'll need some type of holding device. Now I made these especially for the check valve removal barrel, and I'll show you what that's all about, and I'll show you how I made that in a minute. Okay, let's get to work here. So what we're going to do here is cut all the material to size. So I like to make my barrel 6.5 inches long. And this way it allows it to protrude outside of the tank, and it allows you to kind of hang on to it while you have the wrench on it as well. And if you need extra room, extra depth, it's all there. If you make it too stubby, it makes it a little awkward. So 6.5 inches seems to be the right size for that. So for the rod itself, since this is 6.5 inches long, we should probably go about 7.5 inches long on the rod to give us a little room to thread everything with. So we'll do that. So the barrel itself is 6.5 and the rod is 7.5. So let's cut this up and put it in the lathe. Okay, so before we start machining anything, let's do some measuring. So what we want to do is take your calipers and we want to measure that up. So that comes out to about 238. And the rod here is typically 0.25, so let's measure that up. And yeah, that comes out to 2.5. Let's check the other side. 2.49. So that's really close. So what we want to make sure we do is we want to turn this diameter down to similar to that in order for it to fit into the check valve. So if you get it down to about 240, 241, 242, it should fit into any check valve. So that's the one thing that's kind of key to this to make it nice and smooth operating. Okay, so let's turn that down just a little bit. 242. Perfect. So we'll flip it around. And we'll put a little bevel on the end here. So we'll do the 1/4 by 20. We'll put this into the chuck. So we gotta figure out, we'll put the tapered side in first. Lock that down. We'll change the speed to the slowest setting. And then we'll bring this in. We'll reverse it. So that's that side. Now we'll do the check valve inside. Make sure you got the right side in. We want to start on the right side. Make sure it's nice and straight. Check that up. Some cutting fluid. It's a really sharp tool that cuts really good. Stop, reverse, and there we go. So what I'll do is we'll get a check valve and we'll test fit it. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have the rod done, we have to work on the barrel here. And what we're going to do first is work on the wrench flats. So let's do some math here to figure out what we're actually dealing with. So the DOM is 1/2 inch, so it's actually 0.5 right on the nose, so that's good. So well, let's write that down. DOM equals 0.50 of an inch. We know that 7/16 of an inch equals 0.4375, but wrenches aren't exactly that, so let's take a wrench and measure that. So we have 4444. Let's measure another one just to make sure that 4444 actual equals 0.444. So what we want to do here is we want to figure out, so that's the DOM. What we want to do is figure out the first wrench flat side. So we want to figure out that distance. So let's do some math here. So we have 0.500 minus 0.444, and that will give us 650.0. So that is for both sides. So we want to just figure out what is one side. So we'll divide that by 2. So one side so 0.056 divided by 2. So one side is 0.028, and we'll subtract that from that. 0.5 minus 0.028, and so it's 472. 0.472. So we'll set up the calipers here to 472. Got that, and what we'll do is we will machine one side, flip it 180, machine the other side, and it'll be exactly 7/16 of an inch. So now that we faced off one end, we're ready to do the wrench flats. So we're going to convert this into like a quasi milling machine. So what we're going to do is take this 1/2 inch mill end and we're going to stick it into the chuck, and we're going to put the barrel into the tool rest, and how we're going to do that is with a tool holder. So I made this tool holder. What it is a piece of angle iron with a piece of square tube welded on top of it, and I have 2 nuts and bolts that was welded on there as well. And what you do is you slide this in, and you take a wrench and you lock it down. And then I also have this indexing fixture. So it's a 180-degree indexing fixture, and this here has a little dot, an indexing dot, and that's on the center line of the barrel. And you put it in, and you line it up with the center line, and you lock that all down. You put it into tool rest, lock it all down. You do your one side of your wrench flat, loosen these 2 bolts, turn this 180 degrees to this line matches up with that dot, and then you do the other wrench flat and it comes out perfectly parallel to a 7/16 size wrench. Okay, so we're all set up here. We have the tool in. Everything is perfectly 90 degrees here, and this is all locked down. So let's go ahead and machine the one side of the wrench flat. Okay, so that's done now. And so what we're going to do now is loosen this off. And we'll turn this 180 degrees, lining up the other line with the dot. And we don't have to touch anything anymore, so we can go directly straight in. The proof's in the pudding. Oh, there you go. So when that's done, we can take it out. And what we'll do is we'll take a file and we'll just clean up that little burr on either side. So I cleaned that all up over at the vise with the file, so that's all good. So now we're going to do the end here, the wrench end. So we're going to machine the groove in there to accept that check valve. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use the radius of the mill end to nicely scoop out either side of that, and we'll use the indexing tool to do one side and we'll flip it over and do the other side. But there is a catch. What we need to do is raise up the holder here. So I actually figured out what the spacing is, and so this piece of aluminum is the perfect spacing to put in there, and we'll run it in, turn it 180, and we'll run it in, and we'll show you how that goes. So we've got that in, and what I'm going to do is line up the wrench flats to go straight up and down here. And then we'll use our indexing tool. And we'll set the line up to the dot again. And we'll lock that down. Bring that in. And what we're going to do here is set this front of the front face of the barrel to be just almost the midpoint of the mill end. We'll go in just a little more to make a nice finished pass. So now that we have one side done, let's loosen these off. And we'll turn this 180 degrees so that line matches up with that dot again. So now we'll take the check valve and we'll see if it actually fits. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Using the lathe makes a very nice product, so what we'll do is we will clean out the inside groove a little bit, and we'll take the burr off and we'll polish it up on the lathe some more to make it really nice, and it's pretty much a done tool. So we're going to chuck this up. Take that burr off. Good, and we'll take some 600 grit paper. And we'll flip it around. Do the other side. And to really take it up a notch, what we'll do is we'll polish it with some Mother's mag polish. So we just need a little dab. Do it, and we'll put it on the thing, run it back and forth, and then we'll polish it. So there we go, it's all polished up. And we'll take this round file here and we will just take all the burrs off, make sure it's nice, and we'll just inspect the rod here to make sure that there's no burrs at all. It looks good. And what we'll do is we'll just slide it in here. Awesome. We'll take a check valve and see if it all works. Screw the check valve in and we'll engage it. We'll screw it in. Well, there you go, a high quality check valve removal tool that you made yourself on just a lathe. Now if you want to learn how to use this tool, I have a video right here that you can link to, and it's a full-length video on how to install it, how to remove it, and why we should use a tool like this. Now I do realize that some of you don't have a lathe or a milling machine, so I do have a part 2 video of this that you should watch on how to make a check valve removal tool like this with just using hand tools. I hope you like this video and inspires you to build a check valve removal tool like this as well. And if you do, please leave a comment below. I'd like to know how you made out. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to my channel. I have a bunch more Coleman videos, how-to videos, and some adventure videos that you might enjoy. Once again, thanks for watching.